21 personality traits that make Scorpios so magnetic. There is a reason why the world's most enigmatic leaders, artists, and lovers are Scorpios, but few dare to speak it aloud. It is not simply their beauty, their intelligence, or their charm, though they may possess all three. It is something deeper, something felt, not seen, a force that draws others in like gravity, powerful, mysterious, undeniable. Across centuries, Scorpio has fascinated and unsettled those around them. In the ancient world, they were known as symbols of transformation and hidden strength. In modern times, they remain one of the most misunderstood and most irresistibly magnetic of all the zodiac signs. But what exactly creates this magnetism? What gives Scorpio their unique power to captivate minds, stir hearts, and leave a lasting imprint on those they encounter? The answer lies not in one trait, but in a constellation of qualities woven through the Scorpio soul, each one a force unto itself. And together, they create the unshakable presence that so many feel, yet so few can explain. In this episode, we will unveil 21 personality traits that make Scorpios so magnetic, diving beneath the surface to explore what truly sets this sign apart. From emotional depth to mental resilience, from sensual energy to unwavering loyalty, we will explore it all. And as we journey through these traits, I invite you not only to reflect on Scorpio, but on yourself. For within each of us lies the potential to cultivate greater depth, presence, and personal power, lessons that Scorpio embodies with every breath. And if the mysteries of life, the wisdom of the stars, and the unseen forces that shape us call to you, I invite you to join us here. Subscribe to the Path to Buddhist Wisdom, where we explore not just astrology, but the timeless teachings that guide us toward a deeper, more authentic life. Now, let us begin to explore the 21 traits that make Scorpio the most magnetic sign of all. Scroll Trait 1, Emotional Depth. When a Scorpio feels, they feel in galaxies, not drops. What sets Scorpio apart begins not with what they show, but with what they feel. Their emotional depth isn't theatrical or loud. It's silent, profound, and far-reaching, like an ocean trench that no surface wave can disturb. This isn't just intensity for drama's sake. Scorpio's emotional world is layered, filled with nuance, memory, and meaning. Where others skim the surface of their emotions, Scorpio dives, fully, fearlessly. They don't fear sadness. They don't run from longing. And they don't flinch at pain. Because Scorpio understands something most don't, that even the most uncomfortable emotions are sacred paths to truth. This depth gives them a unique advantage in human connection. They see people, not just what they say, but what they hide. Not just who they appear to be, but who they are at their rawest, most unguarded selves. It's why Scorpio can make you feel more seen in 5 minutes than others can in 5 years. Because they don't meet you at the mask, they meet you at the soul. In love, this emotional depth can feel like a tidal wave, overwhelming, beautiful, and unforgettable. Scorpio doesn't do shallow love. When they give their heart, it's not in pieces. It's whole, consuming, and honest. That's why people remember a Scorpio long after they're gone. Famous Scorpios like Leonardo DiCaprio and Julia Roberts carry this quiet emotional gravity, a depth in their eyes, a stillness in their presence, that holds 1,000 stories beneath the silence. But make no mistake, this depth is a double-edged sword. It gives them the power to heal, but also the ability to destroy. That's why Scorpio learns, through trial and fire, to master their emotional currents instead of being swept away by them. And so, the first reason Scorpio is so magnetic, their emotional depth doesn't just attract attention, it commands respect. They remind us that to feel deeply is not a weakness, but a rare and sacred strength in a world addicted to distraction. Scroll Trait 2, Magnetic Presence. You can feel them enter a room, even before they speak. That's Scorpio's presence. Quiet, but undeniable. It's a kind of gravity. Not loud, not forced, but unmistakable. When a Scorpio walks into a space, something in the energy shifts. People turn their heads, not always knowing why. There's no flamboyant gesture, no demand for attention, and yet, attention arrives. That, right there, is magnetism. Scorpio's presence doesn't scream, it radiates. It's made of stillness, confidence, and something deeper, a kind of inner knowing. They aren't trying to be seen. They already are. Not because of external beauty, though they often have that too, but because of the way they carry themselves. Focused, intentional, alert. It's as if they know something you don't, and maybe they do. This trait isn't about being loud or outgoing. In fact, many Scorpios are naturally reserved. But it's that very self-containment that makes them so compelling. They don't pour their energy everywhere. They hold it, they own it, and others feel it, without needing it explained. In spiritual traditions, this kind of presence is called aura. In psychology, it might be called strong boundaries or charismatic tension. But whatever name you give it, Scorpio has it in abundance. A kind of heat just beneath the surface. A sense that they're not fully revealing everything, and never will. Think of famous Scorpios like Joaquin Phoenix or Winona Ryder. They don't chase the spotlight. They become it. Through stillness, through mystery, through presence. In relationships, this trait plays out powerfully. Their lover may not even understand why they can't stop thinking about them. It's not what the Scorpio says. It's the way they look at you. The way they make silence feel like something sacred. The way they remain grounded, while your mind spins in fascination. And so, the second reason Scorpio is so magnetic, they don't perform for attention, they attract it by being unapologetically themselves. Their energy is contained, potent, and utterly unforgettable. Scroll trait 3, intense loyalty. To be loved by a Scorpio is to be protected by fire. Loyalty, for many, is fleeting, conditional, a word spoken lightly. For Scorpio, loyalty is a sacred vow. It is not given freely, but once earned, it becomes a force that few can match. Why is this trait so magnetic? Because in a world where alliances shift with convenience and affection is often skin deep, Scorpio offers something rarer, loyalty that endures. They do not love lightly. They do not commit easily. But when they do, it is with a depth that goes beyond mere affection. It is a soul bond. Scorpio's loyalty is forged through the fires of trust. They will test those around them, not out of cruelty, but to protect the sanctity of their inner circle. For once you are in, you are in, and Scorpio will stand by you with fierce, unwavering devotion. This loyalty shows in action, not words. It is the Scorpio friend who will defend you in your absence. The Scorpio partner who will walk with you through storms when others disappear. The Scorpio parent who will fight with everything they have for those they love. Famous Scorpios like Leonardo DiCaprio are known for maintaining long-standing friendships and professional collaborations, a quiet testament to this unshakable loyalty. It is not the loyalty of convenience, but of character. Yet this loyalty comes with a price. Scorpio expects, and deserves, the same in return. Betrayal is not taken lightly. When loyalty is broken, Scorpio's withdrawal is not partial, it is total. The same depth with which they loved becomes the depth with which they let go. In love, this trait makes Scorpio an extraordinary partner. They are not casual. They do not do half-hearted. If you stand with them, they will stand with you, with everything they are. But be warned, take their loyalty for granted, and you may lose it forever. And so, the third trait that makes Scorpio so magnetic, their intense loyalty doesn't just attract admiration. It inspires trust and reverence. For to be loved by a Scorpio is to be held in a bond that few will ever know, and fewer still will ever forget. Scroll trait 4, natural confidence. Scorpio does not ask for permission to be powerful. They simply are. Confidence can be loud or quiet, but true confidence, the kind that lingers in the air after someone has left the room, is usually the latter. This is Scorpio's kind of confidence. It does not announce itself. It does not seek validation. It radiates from the inside out. Why is this so magnetic? Because we are drawn, instinctively, to those who embody certainty, not arrogance, but self-assurance. In Scorpio, this manifests as an almost primal calm. They know who they are. They do not need your approval to remain that way. This natural confidence comes from the depths of their nature. Scorpio has faced inner battles that many fear to confront. They've walked through emotional fires, navigated betrayal, loss, and personal transformation. Through this, they've forged a kind of unshakable self, a core that external opinions cannot easily rattle. When they speak, it is with purpose. When they move, it is with awareness. And when they look at you, really look. You feel seen in a way that words cannot explain. This is not bravado, it's embodiment. Famous Scorpios like Bill Gates demonstrate this trait in subtle but unmistakable ways. You don't see them vying for attention. You see them quietly influencing entire industries, because true power never needs to shout. In relationships, Scorpio's confidence creates a powerful polarity. Partners feel both grounded and challenged, drawn to Scorpio's steadiness, while inspired to meet their own depth. There is no neediness in Scorpio's love. They come to the table whole, expecting and inviting the same in return. And so, the fourth trait that makes Scorpio so magnetic: their natural confidence is not worn like armor. It is grown like bone. It invites trust, it commands respect, and it quietly captivates everyone who enters their orbit. Scroll trait 5, unshakable determination. Where others pause, Scorpio persists. Among all zodiac signs, few possess the level of sheer determination that Scorpio does. This is not the casual kind of goal-setting or occasional perseverance. Scorpio's determination runs deeper. It is an inner vow that once they choose a path, they will see it through, no matter the obstacles. Why is this trait so magnetic? Because people are instinctively drawn to those who cannot be easily defeated. Scorpio's presence carries this subtle but powerful energy. I will not give up. I will not give in. I will not be broken. In a world that often celebrates shortcuts, Scorpio's relentless focus becomes a beacon of strength. This is not to say the path is easy for them. Quite the opposite. Scorpio often faces more inner and outer trials than most. But their secret lies in embracing the struggle. They do not fear adversity, they expect it. And with every challenge, they grow sharper, stronger, more determined. Famous Scorpios embody this tenacity time and again. Think of Marie Curie, whose tireless pursuit of scientific discovery transformed the world, despite overwhelming personal and professional barriers. Or Bill Gates, whose quiet but relentless vision helped reshape the entire digital age. In relationships, this unshakable determination manifests in profound loyalty and resilience. When Scorpio loves, they fight for that love. They do not quit at the first sign of conflict. They work through it, seeking transformation rather than escape. But they expect the same grit from their partners, and those who lack it may find themselves left behind. Professionally, Scorpio thrives in environments where others might crumble. They do not need constant encouragement or external validation. Their drive is internal, powered by purpose, passion, and an unwavering will to achieve what matters most to them. And so, the fifth trait that makes Scorpio so magnetic: their unshakable determination commands admiration, inspires trust, and sets them apart as one who will not falter, even when the path grows dark. Because in the heart of Scorpio burns a simple truth: the only way out is through, and I will walk it to the end. Scroll trait 6, sensual energy. Some radiate charm. Scorpio radiates sensual energy, often without saying a word. Of all the traits that make Scorpio so magnetic, this is one that fascinates and often mystifies those around them. It is not about superficial attractiveness. It is not about trying to be sexy. Scorpio's sensual energy flows from a much deeper place. Their connection to life, to emotion, to the body, and to the subtle energies that pass between people. Why is this trait so powerful? Because we live in a world where many fear intimacy, where many mask their bodies and feelings in shame or performance. Scorpio, on the other hand, is comfortable in the realm of sensuality. They do not shy away from physical presence, from deep eye contact, from the tactile and the embodied. And this comfort creates a field, a magnetic pull that others feel on an instinctual level. It's not what Scorpio wears or how they move, though they often move with grace. It's how they are in their own skin, grounded, aware, inviting depth where others may settle for surface. Famous Scorpios like Julia Roberts and Ryan Gosling embody this sensual presence in a way that feels natural, never forced. A gaze, a slight lean forward, a subtle pause before a word is spoken, each moment charged with energy. In relationships, this sensual energy creates profound intimacy. Scorpio partners seek connection that is not only emotional, but deeply physical and spiritual. They view sensuality as a gateway to transformation, a space where masks fall away and raw presence can be shared. Yet this energy can also unsettle those who are not ready for such depth. Scorpio's sensuality is not about conquest, it is about communion. They crave genuine experiences, not fleeting gratification, and they can sense when others are not aligned with this intention. This is why Scorpio's sensual magnetism often leaves a lasting imprint. For those who dare to meet them fully, the experience is unforgettable, not because of the moment itself, but because of how fully alive it makes one feel. And so, the sixth trait that makes Scorpio so magnetic, their sensual energy is not performed, it is embodied. A force that stirs the soul, awakens the senses, and reminds us that to feel deeply is to truly be alive. Scroll trait 7. Keen intuition. Logic explains, intuition reveals, and Scorpio listens, always. Scorpio's intuition is one of their most mysterious and powerful traits. They seem to know things before they are said. They sense undercurrents in conversations that others miss. They read moods, shifts, and unspoken truths with astonishing clarity. Why is this trait so magnetic? Because in a world obsessed with appearances, Scorpio's intuition cuts straight to essence. You cannot lie to their gut. You cannot mask your energy. They will see through the smile, through the scripted words, and straight into what is real. Psychologists call this thin slicing, the ability to make highly accurate judgments based on minimal cues. Scorpio takes this to another level. Their deep emotional intelligence, combined with a fierce focus, allows them to detect patterns and shifts that most would dismiss. Famous Scorpios often demonstrate this gift in their careers. Hillary Clinton's political instincts, which have guided her through turbulent landscapes. Leonardo DiCaprio's knack for choosing roles that tap into the cultural zeitgeist at exactly the right moment. In relationships, Scorpio's intuition can feel like a kind of emotional radar. They sense when their partner is holding back. They pick up on subtle body language, shifts in tone, or moments of inner turmoil, often before the other person even understands it themselves. This makes Scorpio incredibly supportive, but also a bit unnerving to those who are not ready to face their own truth. For when Scorpio knows, they know, and they rarely let pretense go unchallenged. Yet this trait must be balanced with wisdom. The mature Scorpio learns when to trust their intuition openly and when to hold it gently, allowing others space to unfold at their own pace. And so, the seventh trait that makes Scorpio so magnetic, their keen intuition pierces illusion, connects to truth, and draws others into a space where authenticity becomes not only possible, but irresistible. Scroll trait 8. Passion for truth. For Scorpio, truth is not a preference, it is a necessity. Among all their traits, few are as central to Scorpio's magnetic nature as their relentless passion for truth. This is not the polite truth of social convention. It is the raw, unvarnished, sometimes uncomfortable truth that lives beneath surface appearances. Why is this trait so powerful? Because Scorpio will not settle for lies, not from others, and not from themselves. They crave authenticity, they hunger for depth, and they know that truth is the only path to real intimacy, transformation, and freedom. This passion makes Scorpio both magnetic and intimidating. They invite others to be real, not perfect. They welcome shadow work, difficult conversations, and soul-deep honesty. And because they walk this path themselves, their presence naturally challenges those around them to do the same. Famous Scorpios reflect this passion for truth in their work and lives. Leonardo DiCaprio uses his platform to expose uncomfortable realities about climate change. Joaquin Phoenix chooses roles that peel back the masks of human experience, revealing both beauty and darkness. In relationships, this trait creates a container where real growth can happen. Scorpio does not fear emotional depth. They will hold space for their partner's truth, all of it, if that truth is given honestly. But they will not tolerate falsehood, manipulation, or betrayal. Their passion for truth is protective of the sacred space of connection they create. This passion extends beyond relationships. In their careers, Scorpio seeks work that aligns with their inner truth. They are drawn to causes and missions that matter, that reveal what others would prefer to ignore. Yet this trait must be wielded with care. The wise Scorpio knows that truth, delivered without compassion, can wound. They learn to pair their honesty with empathy, becoming not only truth seekers, but also healers. And so, the eighth trait that makes Scorpio so magnetic, their passion for truth dissolves illusion, awakens authenticity, and invites those around them to meet life with fierce, unflinching honesty. Scroll trait 9, mysterious aura. Scorpio does not reveal all, and that is why the world leans in closer. Among Scorpio's most iconic traits is their unmistakable mysterious aura. It is not something they perform, it is something they are. A presence that suggests depths unseen, stories untold, and truths only glimpsed. Why is this trait so magnetic? Because human beings are drawn to mystery. We are wired to seek what we cannot fully grasp, to yearn for what is withheld. And Scorpio's nature naturally creates this dynamic. They do not overshare. They do not broadcast their emotions or inner world for public consumption. Instead, they reveal themselves slowly, deliberately, and only to those who have earned that right. This selective sharing creates an energy field around Scorpio that is irresistible to many. A glance, a pause, a slight smile, all charged with possibility, all hinting that what you see is only a fraction of what exists beneath. Famous Scorpios embody this trait with effortless grace. Think of Winona Ryder, whose on-screen presence exudes layered complexity, or Joaquin Phoenix, whose interviews leave more questions than answers, deepening fascination rather than satisfying it. In relationships, Scorpio's mysterious aura creates a dance of depth. Partners feel both invited and challenged, drawn into a space where every layer revealed feels earned and precious. This makes emotional connection with Scorpio feel like a sacred unfolding, not a transaction. But this aura is not manipulation. It is the result of Scorpio's profound self-respect. They value their inner world. They do not offer it cheaply, and in doing so, they elevate the value of intimacy itself. This mystery also protects Scorpio in a world that too often consumes and discards. Their boundaries ensure that only those with the patience and depth to meet them fully will ever touch the core of who they are. And so, the ninth trait that makes Scorpio so magnetic, their mysterious aura does not chase attention. It invites curiosity, evokes longing, and transforms connection into an unfolding journey. Scroll trait 10, fearlessness in facing the dark. Where others turn away from the shadows, Scorpio walks straight in. This is one of the most profound and rarest traits in Scorpio's magnetic nature, their fearlessness in facing the dark, not just in the world, but within themselves and in others. Why is this trait so magnetic? Because most people, consciously or unconsciously, avoid life's darker truths. They sidestep grief, deny anger, repress shame, and cover up fear. But Scorpio knows that these emotions, these shadow aspects, are part of the human whole. They do not seek to banish them. They seek to understand, integrate, and transform them. This gives Scorpio an incredible emotional and spiritual breadth. They have walked through inner fires that others fear to approach. They know what it means to lose, to grieve, to rage, to rebuild. And this experience grants them not only wisdom, but a powerful, calming presence in the face of life's darkest moments. Famous Scorpios often reflect this trait in their life choices and creative work. Joaquin Phoenix's performances often explore the full spectrum of the human psyche, from light to dark. Leonardo DiCaprio's environmental activism confronts uncomfortable global realities that many would rather ignore. In relationships, this fearlessness allows Scorpio to hold space for true emotional healing. They will not run when their partner reveals wounds or shadows. They will not judge what most would reject. Instead, they meet it with presence, compassion, and the wisdom of one who has made that journey themselves. Yet this power also means that Scorpio has little tolerance for emotional shallowness or denial. They crave truth in all its forms, even when it is difficult, and they expect their relationships to evolve toward greater authenticity and depth over time. Professionally, this trait makes Scorpio invaluable in roles that require crisis management, transformation, or deep emotional intelligence. They thrive in spaces where others falter, because they know that darkness, when embraced with wisdom, is a source of profound strength. And so, the 10th trait that makes Scorpio so magnetic. Their fearlessness in facing the dark allows them to walk where others cannot, to witness, to heal, and to inspire in the very places where true transformation is born. Scroll trait 11, protective instincts. When Scorpio loves you, they do not just stand beside you, they stand before you. One of the most magnetic and comforting aspects of Scorpio's personality is their profound protective instincts. To be part of a Scorpio's inner circle is to be shielded by a force that is fierce, loyal, and unwavering. Why is this trait so powerful? Because in a world where relationships often feel transactional or conditional, Scorpio offers something elemental, the instinct to protect those they love, with words, actions, and presence. This protection is not merely physical, though it can be. More often, it is emotional, energetic, and even spiritual. Scorpio watches over their loved ones with an intensity that can feel almost primal. They sense when someone is vulnerable, when a space is unsafe, when energy is off, and they act swiftly to restore balance or offer shelter. Famous Scorpios demonstrate this trait in both public and private life. Think of Julia Roberts, known for her loyalty and fierce defense of her close circle, or Bill Gates, whose philanthropic efforts are driven by a deep sense of responsibility to protect the vulnerable on a global scale. In relationships, this protective instinct is both grounding and magnetic. Scorpio partners often become an emotional anchor for those they love, a presence that says, "I see you. I will not let harm touch you if I can prevent it." This creates a profound sense of safety, allowing true intimacy to blossom. But this protection is not blind. Scorpio does not shield for the sake of control. They shield out of love, loyalty, and a deep respect for the bond they've chosen to honor. And they expect reciprocity, a relationship built on mutual respect, trust, and fierce care. This trait also explains Scorpio's intolerance for betrayal. To them, betrayal is not just a break of trust. It is a violation of the sacred space they have protected and nurtured. And once that space is damaged, it is rarely restored. And so, the 11th trait that makes Scorpio so magnetic. Their protective instincts create a rare and precious refuge, one where those they love can rest, heal, and be fully seen, knowing they are fiercely defended and deeply valued. Scroll trait 12, self-reliance. Some seek constant reassurance. Scorpio seeks their own inner ground and stands firmly upon it. One of the most quietly powerful traits of Scorpio is their profound self-reliance. This is not arrogance. It is not isolation. It is an unshakable understanding that in life's most important moments, the foundation you must stand upon is your own. Why is this trait so magnetic? Because in a world where many depend on external validation, Scorpio carries a rare, resonant energy of inner sufficiency. They do not need the world's approval to walk their chosen path. They trust their instincts, their judgment, their capacity to endure and adapt. This self-reliance is forged through Scorpio's life experiences. Having faced their own depths, having walked through loss and rebirth, they have learned that the only constant is the self they choose to cultivate. And this gives them a grounded presence that others find deeply reassuring. Famous Scorpios embody this trait in diverse ways. Bill Gates, driven by personal vision rather than public opinion. Marie Curie, pursuing groundbreaking science in an era that offered her little external support. In relationships, Scorpio's self-reliance brings a refreshing dynamic. They do not demand constant reassurance or emotional caretaking. They enter partnership from a place of wholeness, able to give deeply, but not driven by neediness. However, this self-reliance can also be misunderstood. Partners may at times feel that Scorpio is distant or hard to read. But in truth, Scorpio simply honors the space of individuality within relationship, knowing that true connection thrives when both partners stand strong in themselves. Professionally, this trait grants Scorpio immense resilience. They can take on demanding roles, lead transformative projects, and navigate uncertainty without collapsing under the weight of external pressures. And so, the 12th trait that makes Scorpio so magnetic. Their self-reliance is a quiet, unwavering force, one that commands respect, inspires trust, and invites others to cultivate their own inner strength in turn. Scroll trait 13, all or nothing attitude. Halfway is not the Scorpio way. They do not dip toes, they dive. Few traits define Scorpio's intensity more than their all or nothing attitude. In love, in work, in friendship, in life, Scorpio does not operate on half measures. When they commit, they do so completely. And when they withdraw, they do so entirely. Why is this trait so magnetic? Because in a world filled with ambivalence, with people hedging their bets and keeping options open, Scorpio brings a rare and electrifying totality. To engage with a Scorpio is to feel the full weight of their presence, attention, and devotion, or none at all. This all-or-nothing approach stems from Scorpio's deep emotional wiring. Surface-level living does not satisfy them. They crave depth, intensity, and truth, and they will settle for nothing less. This applies to relationships, career, creative pursuits, and even personal growth. Famous Scorpios embody this trait clearly. Think of Pablo Picasso, whose radical transformations in art were marked by complete immersion in each new phase. Or Leonardo DiCaprio, known for taking years to prepare for roles that demand his full emotional and physical commitment. In relationships, this attitude can be both exhilarating and challenging. Partners of Scorpio feel the profound pull of their commitment. When Scorpio loves, they love with everything. But this also means Scorpio cannot tolerate relationships that lack reciprocity or depth. They will not linger in the gray areas of maybe. Professionally, Scorpio's all-or-nothing nature drives them to excellence. They pour themselves into their work with a passion that often surpasses their peers. And this is precisely why they achieve such transformative results. Yet this trait also requires balance. The wise Scorpio learns to discern where this full intensity is appropriate, and when to allow space for flexibility and flow. And so, the 13th trait that makes Scorpio so magnetic, their all-or-nothing attitude commands respect, awakens desire, and creates connections and pursuits that burn with rare and unforgettable fire. Scroll trait 14, deep sensitivity. Scorpio feels the ripple beneath the wave, the tear behind the smile. One of the most misunderstood, yet most magnetic, traits of Scorpio is their profound sensitivity. Yes, they are strong. Yes, they are intense. But beneath that strength lies a heart that feels everything, not loudly, but deeply, intimately, and often silently. Why is this trait so powerful? Because deep sensitivity is the source of Scorpio's insight, empathy, and presence. They are not just observant, they are attuned to subtle energy shifts, to unspoken pain, to hidden longing, to quiet suffering that others might overlook. This sensitivity is often cultivated through hardship. Scorpio has likely faced emotional wounds early in life, betrayals, abandonment, loss. Instead of hardening completely, they learn to feel more and to guard what they feel with care. Famous Scorpios like Winona Ryder and Julia Roberts embody this blend of vulnerability and strength. Their expressions carry stories untold. Their performances resonate not because they act, but because they feel what they portray. And we, as an audience, feel it too. In relationships, this sensitivity creates a profound emotional depth. Scorpio partners can sense when something is off, even before a word is spoken. They connect with what their loved one isn't saying, and often offer comfort in ways that seem almost telepathic. Yet this trait also means Scorpio needs time to retreat. Their nervous system is highly responsive. Environments that are too chaotic or superficial can drain them. So they protect their energy and only open fully when they feel safe. This is not weakness. This is wisdom. Because Scorpio's sensitivity, when channeled with awareness, becomes a gift, a healing force. They often attract those who are wounded, because people sense that in Scorpio's presence, they are deeply felt and not judged. And so, the 14th trait that makes Scorpio so magnetic, their deep sensitivity makes them feel not only powerful, but profoundly human. It is the quiet depth behind their fire, the tender core behind their edge, and it is unforgettable. Scroll trait 15, high emotional intelligence. Where others analyze emotions, Scorpio feels and understands them instantly. Few traits make Scorpio as magnetic or as formidable as their high emotional intelligence. This is not mere intuition. It is a cultivated ability to read, understand, and navigate the emotional landscape of any situation with extraordinary skill. Why is this trait so powerful? Because human connection is built not on logic, but on emotion. And Scorpio's ability to perceive emotional undercurrents gives them a kind of social mastery that others cannot easily match. They sense when someone is lying, not because of words, but because of the energy behind them. They recognize suppressed grief in a smile, repressed anger in politeness, longing in hesitation. And they respond, not with judgment, but with presence that meets the true emotion head-on. Psychologists describe emotional intelligence as the ability to recognize, understand, and manage both your own emotions and the emotions of others. Scorpio excels here because they have done this work internally, facing and integrating their own emotional shadows, which allows them to meet others with depth and clarity. Famous Scorpios demonstrate this mastery often. Leonardo DiCaprio's nuanced performances are driven by an uncanny ability to convey complex emotional states. Hillary Clinton's political resilience reflects not just intellect, but a deep understanding of emotional dynamics in leadership and public perception. In relationships, this trait creates partners who are exquisitely attuned. Scorpio can sense when their loved one is withholding or struggling, and they offer support that feels almost psychic in its precision. But this high emotional intelligence also means Scorpio demands authenticity. They are not easily fooled, and they have little patience for emotional games. They seek relationships where truth can breathe and where both partners can evolve toward greater self-awareness. Professionally, this trait grants Scorpio an edge in negotiation, leadership, and any role that requires navigating complex human dynamics. And so, the 15th trait that makes Scorpio so magnetic. Their high emotional intelligence allows them to connect, influence, and heal at a level far deeper than words alone, making their presence both irresistible and transformative. Scroll trait 16, transformational power. Scorpio doesn't just survive change, they become it. Among all the zodiac signs, none embodies the archetype of transformation like Scorpio. This trait goes far beyond simple adaptation. For Scorpio, transformation is not a phase, it is a way of life. They are the phoenix, the alchemist, the soul who turns pain into purpose, wounds into wisdom. Why is this trait so magnetic? Because we are all, on some level, drawn to those who can do what we fear, face the fire and come out reborn. Scorpio doesn't avoid destruction, they walk through it. And in doing so, they show others what is possible on the other side of suffering. This transformational power is not about ego. Scorpio rarely announces their changes, they live them. One day, you see them standing where they once fell. Stronger, deeper, wiser. And it's that quiet resilience that captivates and commands respect. Famous Scorpios often live through multiple incarnations of their identity. Think of Katy Perry, from gospel singer to global pop icon to spiritual activist. Or Julia Roberts, evolving from rom-com darling to critically respected dramatic actress. In relationships, Scorpio's transformational power can feel like a blessing and a challenge. They will push their partner to evolve, not through force, but through presence. Being with a Scorpio means constantly shedding what no longer serves you. It's not always comfortable, but it is always real. Spiritually, Scorpio's connection to transformation aligns perfectly with paths like Buddhism, where ego death, rebirth, and inner alchemy are core principles. Scorpio doesn't fear the void. They know that in emptiness, the truth of self emerges. Professionally, they're drawn to fields of healing, crisis management, creative innovation, or any role that requires complete reinvention. And so, the 16th trait that makes Scorpio so magnetic. Their transformational power doesn't just change themselves, it awakens change in everyone they meet. They are not content with what is, they seek what could be. And in that, they become a living example of what it means to evolve with courage, grace, and fire. Scroll trait 17, spiritual intensity. Scorpio doesn't just believe in the unseen, they feel it burning in their bones. Of all the zodiac signs, Scorpio is perhaps the most deeply spiritual, not in a light, surface-level way, but in an intense, personal, and often private way. They don't need temples or doctrines to connect with the divine. Their spirituality is rooted in direct experience, in silence, in darkness, in mystery. Why is this trait so magnetic? Because people can feel it. Scorpio's spiritual intensity isn't performed, it radiates. It shows up in how they speak, how they pause before they answer, how they seem to know what others feel without being told. This is a soul that has journeyed through lifetimes, and you can sense it in every look, every word. This trait draws others not because Scorpio preaches, but because they embody. They are comfortable discussing the soul's evolution, the dark night of the spirit, or the mysteries of karma and energy, topics that make others uneasy. They do not shy away from death, from surrender, from rebirth. In fact, they seek these very experiences as initiations. In mythology, Scorpio is ruled by Pluto, god of the underworld, keeper of secrets, gatekeeper of transformation. This connection gives Scorpio a natural pull towards spiritual work, energy healing, shadow integration, trauma alchemy, and mysticism. And when they step into that work, they become not just seekers, but guides. Many famous Scorpios eventually turn toward deeper spiritual or humanitarian pursuits. After decades in the public eye, some retreat from fame to explore meditation, ritual, and service, understanding that true power comes not from visibility, but from alignment. In relationships, this spiritual intensity makes them magnetic to those who crave depth. Scorpio does not engage in meaningless connection. They want to merge not just bodies or minds, but souls. To journey with someone through lifetimes, through karmic wounds, through divine union and rebirth. And so, the 17th trait that makes Scorpio so magnetic, their spiritual intensity touches something eternal in those they meet. They remind us that we are not just flesh, we are energy, story, and soul. And being near them often feels like standing at the edge of the sacred. Scroll trait 18, strong boundaries. Scorpio knows the line, and they're not afraid to draw it in stone. In a world where many fear saying no, Scorpio possesses one of the rarest and most magnetic traits, unapologetically strong boundaries. They don't set boundaries to push others away. They set them to protect their peace, their energy, and the sacred depth of their inner world. Why is this so magnetic? Because strong boundaries signal self-respect, and self-respect is incredibly attractive. People feel safe around Scorpio not because they're endlessly available, but because their yes means something. When Scorpio allows you in, it's not by accident. It's intentional, and that alone makes the connection feel profound. Scorpio doesn't fear solitude. They don't people please. They know that their energy is precious, and they guard it like a flame in the wind. They will walk away from chaos. They will close the door if respect is broken. And they'll do it quietly, with no drama, just clarity. This trait is often built from experience. Scorpio has likely faced betrayal, manipulation, or emotional invasion early in life. Instead of becoming bitter, they became wise. They learned that to protect their inner garden, they must build a strong gate, and not everyone gets a key. Famous Scorpios like Ryan Gosling or Anne Hathaway have shown this in the way they handle fame, engaging with grace, but never overexposing their private lives. They live with intentional openness, not as a performance, but as a boundary between persona and soul. In relationships, these boundaries teach others how to treat them and how to treat themselves. Scorpio doesn't chase love, they invite it. And when a partner earns access to their heart, it's a realm few have seen, because Scorpio only opens what others have proven worthy of receiving. In friendships and work, this trait helps Scorpio thrive in environments that respect autonomy, privacy, and deep trust. They do not engage in gossip, flattery, or toxic dynamics, and that alone makes them rare. And so, the 18th trait that makes Scorpio so magnetic. Their strong boundaries are not walls of ego, they are gates of wisdom. They protect not just themselves, but the sacredness of connection. And those who walk through those gates know they are somewhere real, rare, and unforgettable. Scroll trait 19, strategic thinking. While others move piece by piece, Scorpio sees the entire chessboard. One of the most understated yet magnetic traits of Scorpio is their extraordinary strategic thinking. They are not impulsive players in life, they are master strategists. Where others react, Scorpio observes. Where others act from emotion alone, Scorpio calculates with both heart and mind. Why is this so magnetic? Because true strategy is a rare form of intelligence, one that commands deep respect. When you interact with Scorpio, you sense there is always more happening beneath the surface. They are not just responding to the moment. They are navigating a larger vision, one you may not yet see. This strategic mind is powered by Scorpio's depth of perception. They notice patterns others miss. They sense hidden motives. They understand timing, influence, and long-game dynamics. And they are patient, extraordinarily so, willing to wait years for the right moment to act if needed. Famous Scorpios exemplify this gift. Think of Bill Gates, whose strategic philanthropy is reshaping global health systems with long-term vision. Or Hillary Clinton, navigating the labyrinth of global politics with an eye always on both the present and the horizon. In relationships, this strategic thinking creates partners who love deeply, but also wisely. Scorpio does not fall blindly into connections. They observe. They test trust. They build bonds slowly but solidly. And once committed, they continue to invest with thoughtfulness and intentionality. This trait also protects Scorpio from emotional manipulation. Because they think several moves ahead, they are rarely caught in the traps of toxic people or chaotic situations. They know when to engage and when to disengage silently but effectively. Professionally, this makes Scorpio formidable in leadership, negotiation, and any arena where foresight matters. They are often the unseen force behind powerful outcomes, influencing not with noise, but with quiet precision. And so, the 19th trait that makes Scorpio so magnetic. Their strategic thinking allows them to navigate life's complexities with clarity, grace, and unmatched foresight. Those who underestimate them do so at their own peril. For Scorpio always sees the bigger picture, and they play for keeps. Scroll trait 20, charisma under pressure. When the world trembles, Scorpio stands still and shines brighter. One of the most quietly dazzling traits of Scorpio is their charisma under pressure. Many people appear composed when life is smooth, but Scorpio reveals a rare magnetic power when the stakes are high, the room is tense, or the outcome uncertain. Why is this so magnetic? Because true charisma is not about charm alone. It is about presence. And under pressure, Scorpio's presence becomes a force field. They do not fidget. They do not panic. They do not lose themselves in the swirl of crisis. Instead, they grow even more focused, more intentional, more captivating. This capacity stems from Scorpio's deep relationship with intensity. They do not fear emotional storms or external chaos. They have faced both within themselves. And this inner mastery allows them to remain centered while others unravel. Famous Scorpios often embody this trait in public life. Leonardo DiCaprio brings a quiet but commanding presence to high-pressure roles and award stages. Marie Curie maintained composure and brilliance while working under societal pressures and personal loss. In relationships, this charisma under pressure offers profound comfort. When crisis hits, whether personal or shared, Scorpio becomes an anchor. Their ability to stay present and composed inspires trust and admiration from partners, friends, and colleagues alike. But this is not performative control. Scorpio does not suppress feeling. They transmute it into calm power. And this alchemical presence draws others in, especially in moments where clarity and grounded leadership are most needed. Professionally, this trait makes Scorpio invaluable in roles requiring crisis management, public speaking, or transformative leadership. They hold the room, not by shouting, but by embodying a calm, intense gravity that others naturally orbit. And so, the 20th trait that makes Scorpio so magnetic. Their charisma under pressure commands attention and earns trust, proving that true power is not in avoiding challenge, but in meeting it with unwavering grace. Scroll trait 21, ability to inspire others. Scorpio doesn't just walk their truth, they awaken it in others. Perhaps the most beautiful and underrated Scorpio trait is their ability to inspire transformation in those around them. Not through motivational speeches, not through forced advice, but simply through the way they live, raw, real, and relentlessly true to themselves. Why is this so magnetic? Because Scorpio doesn't try to impress, they try to be authentic. And in a world full of masks, their unapologetic honesty becomes a mirror. Being in their presence stirs something deep inside, a quiet question. What would happen if I lived that truthfully? This trait emerges not from ego, but from embodiment. Scorpio has walked through the fire, heartbreak, betrayal, death, rebirth. They've done the hard inner work, and their survival becomes more than a story. It becomes a signal to others that healing and transformation are not only possible, they are sacred. Famous Scorpios like Demi Moore and Joaquin Phoenix use their public platforms not just for performance, but for purpose. Their personal evolution is visible, and through it, they quietly empower others to evolve too. In relationships, this inspiration shows up subtly. Partners often find themselves becoming more honest, more brave, more spiritually attuned. Scorpio doesn't force growth, but their presence insists on it. They reflect what is unhealed, what is true, what is ready to rise. And those who dare to love a Scorpio often emerge as stronger, fuller versions of themselves. Spiritually, this trait is the very essence of Bodhisattva energy, awakening not just for oneself, but for the benefit of all beings. Scorpio, in their highest form, becomes a catalyst for inner awakening in others. And so, the 21st trait that makes Scorpio so magnetic. Their ability to inspire others is not just charisma, it is soul resonance. They remind you of who you were before the world told you who to be. And in that remembrance, something ancient and powerful reawakens. Directed call to action, spoken from the heart. If this video stirred something in you, if you recognized yourself in these words, or you simply admire the unstoppable force of Scorpio energy, then let's keep going deeper together. Glowing stars, subscribe to this channel, The Path to Buddhist Wisdom, because here, we don't just talk about astrology. We awaken ancient truths. We merge mysticism with mastery, and we honor every soul's path to greatness. Hit that bell, leave a comment, and remember, the most powerful journey is the one within.